afternoon, everyone. Right, let's get it started. Hi, welcome to my session for the UX Summit. As you can see on the title slide, it's called Dark Patterns, How Good UX Can Be Bad UX. Yay! I'm actually really nervous because this is my first time speaking to such a large audience. So please bear with me. Right, so let's start. Hello! Right, so my name is Anisa Sanusi, and I'm actually from Malaysia, and I came to the UK 8 years ago to study. And 6 years ago, I started my career as a 2D animator in a local animation studio. So we did children's shows, explainer videos, and things like that. And I studied animation, by the way, so I wanted to do animation. But I needed a visa to stay in the UK. So the only other company hiring was actually a video games company, and they needed a 2D artist. So just like that, I changed into a 2D artist. It was funny because they had a art test that I had to learn a completely new program in one night and managed to do it. And the lady who hired me thought I was lying when I told her I learned everything in one night. So the moral of that story is fake it till you make it. That's how I got here. Oof. So anyway, that was great. And it was in that video games company that I learned what the world of UI is. I didn't even know that it existed. In uni, all I knew was there was 3D artists, there was animators, there was producers, things like that. But UI was completely new and unknown to me. So I kind of had to learn from scratch what it was. Besides, like, nobody really pays attention to menu screens. I mean, it's a good sign that it's a good menu screen because you didn't notice it, but you know. Right, so for the last 6 years, 4 years? Yeah, 4 years in the games industry, I have been lucky enough to be able to work on a huge amount of different platforms. When I say huge, I mean 4. So there's, I did work on PC, consoles, handheld, and mobile. I was very lucky that the company that I worked for was very ambitious and adventurous in the platforms that we went for. So I got a finger in different pies all the time, so it was fun. And slowly from there, I learned what UX is. And from then on, my life changed. Woo. Suddenly you learned, like, it's not just boxes, it's not just menus, it's actually an experience. Ooh. That's what they said. But so that's a little bit about me, just in case you're wondering why am I talking about dark patterns. Before I start talking about dark patterns, though, the topic will be calling out certain techniques or practices that's not really the best thing for you to do. And I really do not want to name names. So things like game titles or company names, I'll try my best not to mention anything or anyone, because in the spirit of good sportsmanship, we're supposed to lift each other up and support each other. So calling out another company or anything like that is a big no-no for me. So because of that, anything I show will not be shown. Does that make sense? Anyway. So all right, let's get started. What is a dark pattern? Da 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 da. And I don't have music, so I have to make my own music. So luckily, in 2013, a bunch of very smart academics looked into dark patterns in the design of games, and they finally came to a conclusion, or rather a definition of what dark patterns is. So a dark pattern is a pattern used intentionally by a game creator to cause negative experiences for players which are against their best interests and likely to happen without their consent. Whew, That's a really long thing. When I found out about dark patterns, it was not too long ago, and it was in a website called darkpatterns.org, and it was conceived by this dude called Harry Bricknell. He's a London designer, and he noticed a few things that is a little bit iffy, especially with websites and forms and where you buy things, commercial websites mostly. So these are things like when you check out something and then they automatically add an extra item to your bag and you don't know that you're buying something until the very last moment you're about to pay. So that's a little bit, that's not great, is it? You feel a bit duped. Other things are like, this one that annoyed me was, if you're on a mailing list, and by law you do have an unsubscribe button link right at the bottom, and some companies will have the link provided, but then they'll make the font the same, sorry, not font, the color the same as the background, so you can't see it unless you actually highlight the sentence. So it's things like that that is really skeezy and not really nice, to be honest. So those things are dark patterns. And what I want to talk about is dark patterns in video games specifically. So these academics, when they talked about dark patterns, it's mostly about game design. And obviously, we're in the UX Summit, so we're going to talk about the UX of dark patterns. Right, so with dark patterns, I need to go into what you call good UX. So, good UX. What is good UX? And it's a very vague term. So I guess from a technique point of view, good UX could mean, oh, the technique is perfect. You've got your psychological principles and your behavioral techniques that you apply to your interface to get to reach your goals. So let's say your intended goal is monetization and user retention, and this is actually pretty much what all games try to get. And it's been proven recently. The global game software market revenue in December 2016 increased by 10% to a record 7.6 billion. That's billion with a B, so that's loads of money. So clearly, good UX is a huge contributor to people spending money and playing the games on and on and on. But I wouldn't say this is good UX. I would actually say it's effective UX, because good could mean ethically good. And sometimes some of these things aren't actually ethically good, but they are effective. So what about bad UX? So what would you call bad UX? I would say a user experience should cover all aspects of the person's experience with the system, including design, graphics, interface, physical interaction, tutorials, and all that. So if you're going through a game and it pisses you off, that's pretty much bad UX to me. So if a player feels cheated or dissatisfied from an experience with a game, that's considered bad UX. And usually that results in a negative perception of the game, a negative perception of the developers, and from there, a negative perception of the industry as a whole. This is actually quite prominent recently with the rise of free-to-play games, especially in the App Store and such. People do get pissed off and they think everyone's just a money grab, when clearly that's not true. So in 2014, there was a study that mentioned out of 10 million players, 19% of those only played a game once, or opened a game once, and 2/3 stopped playing after the first 24 hours, and about half of spending happened in the first 7 days. So I'm not saying that this is the entire reason, but bad UX is a contributing reason to a retention drop. And I think a bad UX is a result of exploitative UX. But the thing is, I know what you're thinking, it makes money. So why not? Because I guess as developers, that's what we were trying to do, right? We're just going to take money. Well, actually, it's about ethics. I'm really glad some of you laughed because that was a very inside joke. The internet's going to get me later. So anyway, right, so the goal of UX design is, according to Oxford, is to improve customer satisfaction and loyalty through the utility, ease of use, and pleasure provided in the interaction with a product. I do believe as UX practitioners, though, we do have an ethical obligation. Dark patterns are ultimately a cynical yet working method for developers to make quick cash. It's a short-term solution to a financial problem that yields little to no trust from your player base. If developers wish to cultivate a loyal, long-term, and meaningful relationship with their customers, then it has to consider good and open practices. The user experience is front and center to that idea. It is my belief that through design, we can demonstrate to our audience how we feel about them. Use of dark patterns is a monument to our lack of respect for that audience, and only through thoughtful design and sensible choices can we win it back. So really, we do hold quite a lot of power in how we persuade users to use our games and how they act with our product. So with that, we do have a moral responsibility. We really should not treat players as a source of revenue. A person has the right to be treated as having intrinsic worth. Players aren't there for us to use as source of revenue. They're not tools to create money. They are individuals with their own objectives of buying your product, like escapism or having fun. We can pursue our own goals, but still respect players' desires. And of course, it takes everyone to uphold such ethics, because if we let others slide, then it becomes normal. And I don't think I want to be in a place where scheming people off of their money is a normal thing. So enough of that. Should we look at actually like a few dark pattern examples? So as I mentioned before, I can't really show actual screen caps. So these are very simplified recreation, as you can, I guess you can call them that. I made it in a PowerPoint, so please brace yourself for amazing squares. Ta-da! Okay. So this one's called the bait and switch. So the bait and switch is basically when, for example, there's a video ad playing automatically, of course, because they're annoying, and you just want to close them. So you wait for the little X button to appear, and then you see it, and then you press it, and then instead of the video ad closing, it goes straight to the purchasing screen, and you're like, are you serious? Really? Really? I just wanted, yeah. And then this happened to me, and I wanted to throw my phone out the window. I was like, why would you do this? So that's just basically made me want to delete the app instantly. So I have no idea why the developers decided to do this. Is it because they think accidentally clicking onto the shop page would make me buy it or something? If anything, it's just annoying. So delete the apps and don't do that. That's what I say. Next one is a misuse of graphic design. This one's pretty obvious because you see this literally everywhere. If you go to a web page where you're trying to download something, you find like 50 download buttons and a teeny tiny link of the actual download link. Same with apps. Why? Just why? Can you even see the cancel button? See why I did that? I made it really subtle, and it shouldn't be subtle. So sometimes people are rapid fire clicking through things like next, 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 and then the next thing you know, you're clicking buy, and you're like, what did I do? So it's things like that where you're taking control away from the users that is considered bad practice. Because you're basically tricking them into buying your things rather than just letting them want to buy your things. This one's my favorite. Demoralising terminology. Yeah, as UX or UI designers, we think about the words that we use really carefully to make sure that the players understand what we're trying to say. But then some people just decide to get really funny about things, and they just, okay, this one I made it up, give up loser, but I'm pretty sure there's other games that kind of demoralizes the player, kind of belittles them for whatever reason, and you're playing a game and the game's being snarky at you. Well, the UI is being snarky at you, not even the game, that's even worse. You're being, some menu is pissing you off. So these kind of things contribute to an overall bad experience. So therefore, bad UX. Next one is called daily quote-unquote rewards. So this is where just as you're about to leave an app, they will say, oh, you should log in tomorrow. And you might get this thing. It's like a 0.00003% chance of getting it. So you should totally try. And then you log in every day, hoping to get that one amazing item, and you just don't. That's basically dangling a carrot in front of your players and making them come back for more when the chances are really low. I mean, daily login bonuses is not a bad thing, but when you promise something with such a low chance of reward, it's almost like you're giving them false hope. I sound like a scorned lover, I'm sorry. Right, next one. Guilt-tripping notifications. This one, I really, really hate these. This is why every time I download a new app or a new game, I instantly deny any notifications, because you get stuff like this where that's the voice I'm imagining the notification to sound like, you're dying, when can you come back? I was like, oh my God, shut up. Yeah, I'm literally saying shut up to my own notifications. So I know that they're supposed to remind you that the game is still going on, and they're supposed to entice you to come back. But if they're being whiny about and they're basically making you feel bad for leaving them, that's almost as bad as those, again, email subscriptions that you unsubscribe from, and then you go to the website, and then there's a sad little owl that's like, oh, I'm gonna die now because you unsubscribed. It's like, really? Yeah, so it's things like that. It's completely unnecessary to add grievances. So the next one is social validation and compliance. This one is basically using your own friends to peer pressure you into playing your game. So the element of having friends playing the same games does actually make you come back to your game more often. There's a study for this. I can't really cite it right now because I forgot. But the one thing that shouldn't happen is when you're pushing it so much when that person, your friend, probably doesn't even care. They're kind of using people to coax you into going back into the game. And I think I just personally don't really like that. Right. So there are some ways of doing things. Monetization isn't evil. In-app purchases is not evil, obviously, but there are ways to do it better and not so annoying, I guess. So this one's a good one, which is called clear trade-offs. So these are two different examples, but basically you are giving choice to the player. They know exactly what's happening, and they have a choice, and you are giving them control over what they want to do. Do you want them... If your game is good enough, and they're enjoying it, they probably wouldn't mind watching that 30-second ad without you pushing it to them. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've done it myself. I know a lot of other people have. And the fact that they've actually let me say, nope, I really don't want to watch this right now. I just want to continue playing something else. The same with a paywall where you buy once and that's it, no more ads forever. So that's also one of my favorites, because you know what? If your game is so good, I don't want ads, I will give you the money. Just don't bombard me with things. Again, this is about giving the player control. Next one is balanced UI design. So as you know, most in-app purchases menus do have multiple choices, where from the lowest to the highest. What gets me, what really ruffles my feathers, is when they automatically highlight the most expensive choice and make them animate or something, and it's like $99 or something insane like that. And children have been known to buy these things because they have zero concept of in-app real world values. I'm not using the right terms, but I think you know what I'm saying. The good thing about that is that that phenomenon has been curbed with actual laws. Like, you know what, Amazon or Apple, those platforms have been sued because they made it too easy for children to buy these things without any parental supervision. So from a UX perspective, we could have curbed that a little bit. I mean, just to make sure everything's balanced and to not prey on accidental purchases, basically. And the next one is definitive and clear language. So again, this one, players tend to have a mental model of what they expect the UI to say or what the game does. And if your game or menu basically is very clear and very distinct about what's happening, they are less likely to be confused, they are less likely to be frustrated, and therefore they're less likely to have a bad experience. So as long as everything's clear, because I'm pretty sure there has been games where they muddle up words, they use words that might sound like yes, might sound like no, but not quite, and just like, why is that? And you don't understand, and you kind of just click it anyway, and you end up somewhere you don't want to be. So therefore you get frustrated. So things like that is easily rectified with just clear language. This one is rewarding loyalty. I play a certain free-to-play game that goes up to the thousands of levels, and I think I'm one of those losers that continue. I've played this game for 4 years straight, basically. And at one point, I was so addicted to this game that I installed the game to my sister's phone or my brother's iPad, you know? So I have like 3 devices on the go. What I did notice was that on my account, because I've gone up to like level 1,000, I barely saw any ads or any intrusive anything. It was really easy to play, and I was just continuously playing it. But when I played on my sister's phone or something, there would be ads popping up, a bit more, you know? And to be honest, these kind of ads are a bit of a necessary evil, I guess, with free-to-play games. But the fact that they never show up on my account because I'm level 1,000 something is kind of nice. They're kind of rewarding me for being a loyal customer. And I've had such a good time with them that I have spent money, and I don't feel at all bad. I wish I could name this game because it actually has good UX. It's one of the few free-to-play games that does it well. Right, so what does this mean for us? So if you're a UI or UX designer, you should discuss the matter of ethics, or rather the lack of a code of ethics, because the lack of code of ethics is kind of the reason why people get away with all these things. A lot of the reason why these practices are so common is because the company, they set their values more on getting monetization or squeezing out the final penny from quote-unquote whale users. I really don't like that term, but it's true. And sometimes you kind of have to stand your ground. I know it's difficult. Like, I think I've been there where I feel like I don't really want to do this, but you kind of have to follow orders. But sometimes if you state your case strong enough and kind of stand together, maybe I'm being a bit romantic about this, I don't know. The power of friendship, yay. Hopefully it will become less commonplace. So you have to ask yourself as a UX designer though, what you design, does it manipulate players, or does it aid them and let them feel secure about their knowledge and decisions? People don't like feeling out of control, and as UX designers, we do persuade players to do certain things, but persuading shouldn't be manipulating. And of course, there's always ways to design for the mutual benefit of players and the game. Video games is still a business, but that doesn't mean you should exploit people for the sake of monetary gain. And if you're a company, it would be great if you could ensure the UX conveys company values. If you remember what I said earlier, you have a bad experience, you think badly of the game, and you start thinking badly of that company, and soon people are just like, God, video games, all they do is waste your money and waste your time. When in fact, that's not true. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room knows that's not true. So it'd be great if companies could facilitate an environment that allows for the refusal of unethical requests. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes people are like, wait, this gets money because that's metrics. Metrics shows that it works. Sure, it does work, but at what cost? It feels a little bit like selling your soul to the devil. But different companies have different priorities, and there has been people who has left certain companies because they don't agree with the company policies. I'm not saying you should quit your jobs or anything, but you are who you work with. And finally, use metrics to increase player enjoyment and not as a tool of manipulation. I'm pretty sure you can see by now that I use the word manipulation quite a lot in this. It's a really fine line between aiding a player to do what you want, or persuading them, or just guiding them, and literally manipulating them to do things that they don't want to do. So as UX designers, we do have quite a lot of power, and with that much power, we have quite a bit of responsibility. So finally, I just want to end my talk with a quote that, can you guys guess who this is from? Anybody? Go on. Yeah, Satoru Iwata. Business card, I'm a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. And that rings true for most of us, I think. No matter what we are on our business cards, we are still gamers, so therefore we know what it's like to be on the other side. Why would we want to manipulate them when we are them? And this one is, can anybody guess this one? It's actually me. I want to do this first. Yay. And probably you guys too. I mean, that's my point. We're all gamers at heart, and we're all game developers. We do this because we love it. And I'm pretty sure all of you remember your first games, and you grew up thinking, oh man, I want to make that. I want to make games that people enjoy and could remember by. And I just want you to remember that when you go to work, when you make games, remember why you got into the industry in the first place. It's not to manipulate people. It's not a cash grab. It's literally an art. And you have to remember why you got there in the first place. So thank you very much, and I hope you UX responsibly.